Hey, I'm Andrea Warner, and I'm one of the hosts of Pop This. I'm just dropping in to let you know that what you're about to listen to is a Pop This Best of episode. It's been a long pandemic, and we figured everyone could use a bit of a summer break. So we've been programming some of our all-time favorite episodes from the Pop This back catalog. And yes, we know it's September, but it's our last week of our summer re-release schedule, and we picked a deep cut. Think back, all the way back. What were you doing in May 2016? We were arguing about what we thought was the best dance film of the 80s, Dirty Dancing or Footloose. Lisa was Team Footloose. I was Team Dirty Dancing. It was a chaotic debate. Lisa may have called dancing the sad cousin of music. I said a few not so nice things about Channing Tatum. Who emerged the victor? Well, you'll have to listen to find out. We hope you enjoy this episode. We'll be back with you for new episodes on September 15th. Until then, take care. Hope you had a great summer.
You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So, on the weekend, I went to a farmer's market because obviously I'm a hipster.
Yeah.
And not only did I buy my greens and a beautiful...
Did you buy an $8 tomato? Because that's what I always seem to buy accidentally.
No, I did buy a $2 orange pepper. It was huge and delicious.
That's not $2 is you're getting away with something.
Was
there.
I getting away with something?
Yeah.
But I also bought a $60 bottle of gin at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
Did you get a sample?
Oh my God. And it was so
Are they allowed to
good.
give you samples?
Yes.
Really?
They can do hard liquor, beer, and wine samples at the farmer's market. So obviously now I'm there every weekend.
I was not aware of this because this, and I think there's a lot of people listening now that are suddenly wanting to go to their farmer's markets.
Yeah, it's delicious and it's so great. So this gin is so beautiful. It's made from honey.
Ooh.
And it, like, I've never tasted anything so sweet and complex and gorgeous and still had it noted, like, it was still definitely gin. It's not like you're drinking like mead or something.
No.
I'm not a big mead fan. Also not usually normally like a honey wine fan either. But this honey gin was amazing.
I haven't tried the honey gin. Gin has more of is the juniper. That's what makes it, right?
Yes.
I feel like I can taste the juniper. I'm sure I can't because by the time I've had like a few gins, I don't even know what.
Oh no, I bet you can. One time someone brought me just pure juniper alcohol.
Oh.
Instead of gin, and I laughed so hard, and then I tasted it, and it was delicious.
Oh.
Delicious.
Well, I had a gin and tonic on the weekend. What, Lisa, you live big. And this particular gin and tonic had a delicious slice of cucumber in it and pepper.
Oh.
Fresh ground pepper on the top.
Wow, so fancy.
And then I had a little tiny, almost like airplane-sized bottle of tonic.
Wow.
The individual tonic. But not like the big one, like a little
Yeah.
individual one. And it really hit, it was summery. The gin and tonic taste is summer.
See, I don't like tonics.
You don't like tonic?
No, I know.
What the hell do you put in the gin then?
Well, okay, I like gin straight.
Okay.
But I like gin and soda, or at least a splash of soda.
What's the thing? Oh, the tonic is so delicious.
Oh, I think tonic tastes like rubbing alcohol. I hate it.
It's the Quantine, or what is they call this thing in the?
I don't even know, but it does not appeal to me at all. I do like gin gimlets. With various different sort of flavor profiles. So my latest one that I love is a rosemary gin gimlet. It's so good.
Yes.
Also a sage and thyme gin gimlet. delicious as well.
There are another group of people that also share our love of gin, and they're 4 men, and they make up a band called Kiss.
I've heard of these men. Tell me more.
And if you are so lucky as to have owned the Kiss Alive album, as I did, I don't think there are a lot of Kiss fans probably listening to this podcast, but
maybe, you never know.
I don't, but I would encourage you, because I just, previous to us starting to record, I showed you the live concert footage, and were you not, wow, this is great?
Yeah, I was, and then I said, man, I wish Gene Simmons weren't so gross.
Well, he says things that are very uncomplimentary.
I feel him and Donald Trump could be best friends.
Yeah, I think there's some issues. Although I did enjoy watching Family Jewels, the reality show with Shannon.
Oh, he seemed less horrible a little bit.
And we have a certain affection for the family since Shannon Tweed is Canadian.
And the Michael kid, is that like the
Nick.
son? Oh, Nick.
Nick.
He was a pretty talented artist.
Yeah, and Sophie seems quite kind as well. And why do I know all their names? Well, that's why you're listening to a pop culture podcast of such extensive breadth.
Yeah, we have so much breadth.
We have so much breadth. In fact, if there's any description that you will use to tell people to listen to this,
yeah,
I hope you use the word breadth.
Yeah, these are 2 women of immense pop culture breadth.
From... And I don't even think we're going to do ourselves any favors now by telling everyone what the episode is about.
Well, actually, what our episode is about completely supports what we just said about how wide our pop culture breadth is. We went from gin to Kiss to what will be maybe one of the most divisive arguments we've ever had. You're listening to Pop This.
Yeah, you are. That's hopefully you knew that. I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Warner.
And today it is a battle royale. We took on singles and reality bites, which probably didn't need to be pitted against each other. But heck, let's do it again. It was so much fun.
They needed to.
They could have been, and they were.
They needed to. This time we're being a bit more specific. This is not Battle of the 80s movies.
No.
This is Battle of the 80s dance movies.
That's right. In 1984, Footloose was unleashed into the world. We learned many things. In fact, we learned that in some towns in the United States, dancing could be considered a crime.
I remember watching this movie. The idea that dancing was a crime, I'm pretty sure that this movie was what made me go into like student government when I was in elementary school, just because I wanted to make sure I could demand justice for young people.
In terms of being allowed to dance?
Just in terms of just being allowed to exist, allowed to do what we wanted, to not have our rights squelched by fear-mongering, sort of fascists.
Yes, fascists. So let's just a quick rundown for you in case you haven't seen Footloose.
Wait, but we should.
Oh, and no, you
Footloose
go right.
versus Dirty Dancing,
which came out in 1987.
Isn't that crazy that it was like 3 years later?
But yet, Dirty Dancing is set in the late 50s or very early 60s.
60s, yeah.
Is it early 60s? Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Dirty Dancing. The fact that it came out 3 years after Footloose.
Yeah.
The 80s gave us so much.
So much.
And I mean, these are just 2 of the dancing movies.
And we would have put Grease
chosen.
in, but that came out in the 70s.
Sure. And we could have done so many other dancing movies as well. But these are the definitive 80s dance movies. Dirty Dancing, a young girl goes to the Catskills, roughly, with her family. It's sort of a resort town. This is what you did during this time. You went on vacations with your family to resorts. She meets a dancer.
Not just any dancer.
Not just any dancer.
Johnny.
Baby 17 years old, going to college in the fall, wants to join the Peace Corps, meets Johnny, a dancer from the other side of the tracks. Definitely looks at least 15 years older than her, but is apparently only supposed to be about 7 years older than her.
In the film's defense, it's Patrick Swayze. So whenever you can get Patrick Swayze,
you just get him
to be able to dance in your movie.
Yes,
you just put him in
and perform one of your songs. You get him in.
You just get him in.
So they have a sort of torrid, brief summer fling. And she learns to dance.
Yes.
And this is the whole movie.
Well, there's some other wrinkles in there.
Sure. But, I mean, in terms of a summary, before we'll get into them more. But I just want to, let's just set the scene. Footloose versus Dirty Dancing.
Now, for the purposes of our debate, you are arguing
in favor of Dirty Dancing.
In favor of Dirty Dancing. I am arguing in favor of a movie that is described this way. A city teenager moves to a small town where rock music and dancing have been banned, and his rebellious spirit shakes up the populace.
Well, sure, that covers it.
Yeah, that kind of covers it. The populace being 15 people or something? How small is this town?
There's 150 people in this town.
Yeah, that's about it, it seems.
Yeah.
It seems like that. So I guess we should start off by you need to your opening argument as to why do you think that the definitive 80s dance movie should be Dirty Dancing?
Okay. So Dirty Dancing to me is basically, this is the movie that brought together, it's a movie that should not work, and yet it does. On every level, this should be a throwaway, crappy, escapist, summer fling film that just does not land, does not have any staying power, does not feel as sort of exciting and thrilling as it is. And yet, Jennifer Grey as Baby, Patrick Swayze as Johnny, and a movie that actually really celebrates subtle details.
Yes.
In beautiful, beautiful ways. And I think its casting begins as sort of the most beautiful detail. So Baby arrives. She's sort of this sheltered, idealistic young woman. Jennifer Grey, as an actress at that time, she had been in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and a few other things, but not a ton of stuff. She would go on later to have a nose job that really it weirdly wrecked her career.
Yeah.
But she had a lot of pressure because one of the things that worked about Dirty Dancing was that she was not considered conventionally beautiful.
So we could all identify with her.
Yes. And I mean, when they talk about unconventionally beautiful, they weren't just talking about, putting a pair of glasses on a girl or asking her to gain 10 pounds. She had a very interesting, cool face, and she had this sort of wisdom about her that I think a lot of young actresses maybe didn't possess at the time. Even looking at Patrick Swayze, we understand that he's meant to be sort of more classically handsome, but ultimately not really. He also has an interesting face and is sort of he's chiseled and he's buff and all of these things, but he also was a dancer.
He really is
a trained dancer.
I know, and I'll say that the thing that I had to pick the thing I like best about it is how, as you said, this is a really kind of dumb movie, but Patrick Swayze commits.
They all commit, and that's the thing. That's
he
why
mostly, though. I feel even when he's doing the mashed potato, he's really, those hips are swaving. He's in this part.
He's in it. I think Jennifer Grey is in it too, and that's the thing, though. I don't think it's a dumb movie. It should be a dumb movie.
It's got a lot of interesting conversations about class.
There's a lot of great conversations about class. So Baby and her family are all upper class. All the people who
Her dad's a doctor, Law and Order guy.
Yeah,
Her mom's Emily Gilmore,
Jerry
which
Orbach.
is weird.
Yeah, and she's also a trained dancer.
Yes.
So I mean, there's so many interesting conversations about class and just expectation of wrong side of the tracks versus good girls and that kind of thing. So Jennifer Grey, Baby, she gets to see how the other half lives when she goes to an after-hours party for the staff.
Yeah,
because
you didn't mention the most important part. Is that there are...
She carried a watermelon? That is the most important part.
No, the most important part of the film is that the fact that these dancers are hired to make all of the creepy, sad vacationers feel like they're sexy and attractive.
Yes, absolutely. So they've got a huge dance staff on call, it seems, to both perform and provide dance lessons for...
Lessons in quotation marks. They're sort of like casually expected to maybe like put out,
maybe a little... Basically, it's sort of like...
A lot of flirting,
some soft sex work, I guess, is how you would describe it. So she gets to go to one of their after-hour parties. She sees them dancing.
Where they're not waltzing and doing the rumba or the tango.
Yeah, all of these proper dances. They are getting down and dirty in a way that maybe didn't exist in the 60s, but it certainly existed in 1987 when they... like, this movie is so anachronistic, and it's so perfect in a lot of ways because it combines a lot of the morality and sort of songs of the time period, but it also moves in more modern music and much more 80s vibe to it as well. Yeah. It blends all of these things. These are things that should not work together, and yet Dirty Dancing makes it work. So Baby gets drafted in to learn the dance routine because Johnny's partner has to go and have an abortion. This is sort of a big deal.
And everyone assumes it's Johnny's baby.
Everyone assumes it's Johnny's baby. And she, abortions aren't legal, so she has to go to like this sort of,
the back alley
kind of doctor. Baby spends days learning this routine. The dance sequence alone of her learning the routine.
Yes.
Over and over and over again.
Hey, baby. You can't see I'm doing my foot thing on the log.
But they spend so much time. A lot of those sort of training montage sequences, like, they're kind of over pretty quickly. This actually goes on for, like, a good sort of, like, 5 minutes almost. And it takes you through so many different steps and so many iterations of her learning and him being able to try and turn her into a dancer in a matter of basically a week, I think.
Yes.
Which is kind of extraordinary. And we see how their relationship goes from this one where she's so much in awe of him, so intimidated by him. She's obviously attracted to him. Like, he's basically given her a loin stirring like she's never had before.
He gives everybody a loin stirring
sure
like
does.
Never had before.
Sure does. And yet what we see, and I think this is one of the things that makes the film work so well and where we don't feel it's kind of skeevy that they end up together. Like, even now to this day where I'm really all about sort of, consent first and sort of people being, legal as much as possible.
Oh, well, good for you, Andrea. What standards you have.
Progressive, you wanting people to be legal. Well, it's why I had to sort of bow out of watching Pretty Little Liars. There's so much freaking... Anyway, that's a different point. But, so Dirty Dancing, she really holds her own. She tells him off. She gets mad. She has these great moments that I think Jennifer Grey really brings so much reality and life to. Where
she has a lot of fights with him because he's dumb.
Yes.
As a plank. I mean, this guy is like... I wouldn't even be surprised if I knowed he was illiterate. Like,
no,
come on.
I do not think he's dumb. I think they go overboard to
is he
sort
Forrest
of
Gump simple?
show
is that
him
what you're gonna tell
that,
me?
yeah, they go a little overboard to show
special.
Like he's just a simple guy from the wrong side of the tracks who, his family's greatest hopes for him are getting into a plumbers union, and he just wants to dance and he wants to be treated as a real person.
He's playing the same guy as he did in The Outsiders. Just like a kind of little bit greasy, handsome family guy.
Fair enough. But, like, I don't think he's actually, like, dumb. Like, I think, like, he calls her on her stuff, too, when she talks about, like, all of these ideals she has for how she wants him to stand up for himself and change the world. And, she's not
speaking from a place of privilege. I mean,
she is.
Yes.
She's speaking from a total place of privilege, and I feel he calls her out on that really elegantly. And I know that he's not like sort of a classically educated person, but
he's dumb. It's not even about classically.
No, I think he has street smarts. I do.
Yeah, okay, because he knows how to
do.
break into that car.
Well, I mean, anybody could have figured that was not the most elegant break-in you've ever seen, obviously. But I mean, tempered glass, hard to crack. Yeah. He did it as best he could.
Yeah.
No, I just so they sorry, I'm getting like completely off track. But anyway, why I think this is the greatest dance movie is because damn, they dance and they dance well and they work hard at it. They show this progression. Patrick Swayze is naturally a dancer, but also the dance sequences are so fun. They do it to a million different types of music. Mm-hmm. They seduce each other through dance. They communicate through dance. They liberate themselves, and so many of their sort of like fellow workers, and they break down class barriers through
that's
dance.
Right.
Like
Through
how
their
like
dirty dancing.
That's amazing.
It's like lambada. The forbidden dance.
No, I think they do it brilliantly. And then we're really rooting for these people. Like at the end, so Johnny he gets fired because he gets framed for stealing. He didn't actually steal.
Of course not.
It's another.
It's too dumb.
He is not that much dumber than I think he's smarter than Willard, but we'll get to Footloose after. Anyways, Willard is dumb.
Well, Willard's dumb, but we expect Willard to be dumb.
Yeah, I don't think Johnny's as dumb as Willard. Anyway, it's fine. But yeah, so at the end, there's the triumphant thing where Johnny comes back. He's been sent away, banished, fired, because he's been set up and no one believes him, and he slept with the daughter of one of the fancy people. So all of these things are factoring in against him. He's an outcast because he's just this poor dude who doesn't count. And he comes back into the room. He storms in his black leather jacket, and he says the immortal words, "Nobody puts baby in the corner." And he stands up, and they go on stage, and they dance. I mean, that dance, that's a dance worth a movie for. The dance that they have. I think the dance at the end of Footloose, you got 30 kids that are suddenly freaking choreographed wizards.
I have wondered about that.
That's
a particularly unusual thing. It's like in Star Wars where Rey is able to fly the Millennium Falcon. Where did this innate knowledge come from? I don't know, but it was in there.
She's got pilot's blood, dude.
It was in there. The dancing spirit was always in there.
Yeah, but you know what? A choreographed dance sequence? No. So I just think Footloose is, and I love Footloose, but Dirty Dancing is the definitive 80s dance film.
Yeah, okay, and here's where I'm going to disagree with you. Why Footloose is a better dance movie is because it's actually about teen sex.
There's a lot of teen sex still going on in Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, but it's with an adult man, so it's not quite the same.
I'm sorry, Kevin Bacon is definitely 30.
Well, in this movie, and we're not going to be able to do this movie if you're going to forget that Kevin Bacon is a high school senior.
Okay, fine.
He is a high school senior.
Fine. Yes.
And he comes to school, and he had small town, family circumstances have thrust him into this sad small town in the middle of God knows where. Apparently this is based on a real town in Oklahoma, which is...
I guess, see that.
They banned dancing. There's lots of those weird laws.
There are a lot of, yeah.
So he doesn't, unbeknownst to our hero, years ago, as legend has it, the preacher of the town's son was killed coming back from a dance. I think kind of overkill that then he decided that there will never be dancing again in the town.
Dancing is so sinful.
So
it just
sinful.
leads to sex and drugs and...
Which is actually all entirely true. So, but...
So you're saying John Lithgow's character, he's actually the sympathetic character.
No, not at all. No, I would say that he's correct in that. It's just that as a teenager, that is your right. Now, maybe not the drug part. I don't want to, suggest that. But definitely the sex part. This is your right.
Sure, but do you honestly think sex leads to dancing? Do you honestly think dancing is just always like what is just
in this movie I do.
Oh, just a slippery slope to sex.
Well, in this movie,
these characters are having sex without dancing.
Yeah, but the whole situation in the movie is like this repression, right, of joy. have any happiness at all. Like John Lithgow, our preacher character, he's sad. So he wants everyone else to share in the same sadness. And even though, lovely role by Diane Wiest there, completely
good.
Somebody else should have done this. This is not worthy of Diane.
It's not, but she brought so much wonderful gravitas to the situation.
She did, and she loves her husband so much. She knows he's terribly wrong. She too was hurt, obviously, by the death of their son. But she doesn't believe that they should still have this ban. However, I would say that there are two reasons that make this movie extraordinary. And for the ages. One, you get a courtroom drama, which I love, where Ren tries to explain to the townspeople that the Bible, in its own words, tells us we should dance.
And the Lord said.
And the Lord said in Psalms or something like that. Or as, what is it, Donald Trump calls it, Corinthians 2? line or something? Anyway, he tries to point out that there are places in the Bible. It doesn't sway anybody.
Sure.
And more importantly, and I sent you many links today because I love so much that when Kevin Bacon gets upset, he dances it out. He dances out. So I know this is a movie about actual dancing as well. I know that. But the rage that's pent up in Kevin Bacon, and he drives his Beetle out to an abandoned warehouse.
It's nice that even though he just moved to town, he has the location drop on all the abandoned warehouses.
It's an odd place for it because it seems like in a very agrarian town, doesn't it? Like they're all cowboys, like they're real cowboys.
Yeah, no, I know.
And this warehouse, it looks like in the Brooklyn docks or something.
Yeah,
doesn't
it certainly looks industrial in a way that this town has never seen industry quite like this.
Perhaps he had to drive for a very long time.
Maybe he drove back to Chicago.
Maybe because it does look like Chicago. So in one of the most important dance scenes ever in a movie.
In the history of cinema.
Kevin Bacon dances out his rage. He pops that cassette tape into the car just with such anger, such, definitive sadness. Pops that cassette in. Our synth music begins with also a sax solo. And Kevin Bacon throws his cigarette off, smashes the beer bottle, and then he just gives us one of the most incredible dance scenes, bouncing off walls, flips in the air. It is something. I felt his sadness. And if we're to look at a movie, if we're going to debate the merits of the worth of a movie representing a decade, I recognize that we know the line, no one puts baby in a corner. We've often seen the scene in the water where Jennifer Grey jumps and Patrick Swayze catches her.
Yeah.
Seen those, that kind of done.
Sure.
But no moment in pop culture has been more replicated than that dance scene.
Really? You think really?
Yeah,
really?
I do.
Really?
I do.
I think that lift means more to people and has been a much more sort of resonant moment of triumph in pop culture than Kevin Bacon's angry dance-off by himself.
In Dirty Dancing, that scene is also achieved in water. No one does that.
At the end of the film, she does the lift. She nails the lift. She nails the lift.
But no one, that's impossible to do in real life. I can't go do that. I can dance off, though.
Really? Are you gonna
in the woods or in a factory?
These different, there's no
I
way
told
you're gonna
upset me.
You're not gonna do
I was going to
You're not going to do flips and acrobats. And basically, he was also trying out for the Olympics gymnasts team with his sort of
the bar thing.
Yeah, his bar activities.
His bar activities.
His bar.
Exactly.
Come on, this is a movie that has it has a few of those good moments where there's some great dance gems.
Yes.
There's he teaches Willard to dance.
Which do you think is a more iconic song? Is it I Had the Time of My Life or Gotta Cut Loose, Footloose?
Okay, but that's a totally different debate. I think Footloose is
part and parcel.
Footloose is a better song.
Let's hear it for the boy. Come on, who doesn't love that song?
I love that song. But I mean, also, who doesn't love Mickey and Sylvia's Love is Strange and all the other different like awesome songs that are in, or even Patrick Swayze singing "She's Like the Wind."
Yeah, I know that doesn't that.
It's a terrible song, but like, doesn't it like just it?
I don't understand that part of the movie.
It hooks to the it. But it works still in that moment, don't you think?
I don't really think of Jennifer Grey as the wind. No, I don't. I find her very stable. I find like that song was written for someone else. You know how some guy like buys a ring because it was on sale and he hopes one day he'll be able to use it to engage to someone, and even maybe it's even been given to a couple of people and been returned when it didn't work out, and eventually it finds a home. I feel like that song, She's Like the Wind, was written for another one of his relationships, for a really tempestuous, exciting, exotic woman. And then we see him do it for Jennifer Grey, and she's not like the wind.
Okay, fine. Let's go to the end of Footloose, though, and that completely, utterly ridiculous, stupid dance at the end. Come on. Like, I mean, I understand there's like the triumph that they finally got it.
Yes.
They finally got the dance together.
Yes.
It's super exciting. They won. They've changed the course of history for this tiny town. But honestly, I can't get past the fact that all these kids who've had dancing.
Is it the break dancing?
All these kids have had dancing band for years, and suddenly they all
Except
know.
Chris Penn, who doesn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's still sort of like dancing crazy.
Yeah.
But like all of these other kids they've just been attending dance school in the neighboring town at like an Alvin Ailey dance studio. Oh, it's so pent up. It came
like
up
the
in like
rage that Kevin Bacon felt in the warehouse.
Choreographed dance sequences that and aren't terribly well choreographed. The dancing in Dirty Dancing, it feels much
the Dirty Dancing
cooler.
in the scene where they go when she breaks into the special room or whatever it is. They're what is that?
It's their like party like
party lodge.
They're I think it's like a party barn for like
the party barn.
Party barn. Let's call it a party barn.
The party barn is some great dancing.
There's some great dancing.
I will
throughout.
agree with you there. That is some great dancing.
But even when she learns
I feel
to
like
dance,
I wanted to dance more when I'm watching Footloose. What makes you want to dance more?
Oh, I totally want to dance when I'm watching like them do all their dirty dancing, and then at the end when. Yeah, that's just my.
But when they do the swavey hip thing, but not with the Jennifer. See, here's the other problem I have with the movie.
What?
The biggest problem.
What?
There's no chemistry. We know they hated each other. In real life, Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey hated each other. And not in the good Ryan Gosling, Rachel McAdams, The Notebook sort of way, where it was chemistry. There was none. They're like their lips touch and they're like wooden blocks.
I totally disagree entirely.
You watched that again. They hate each other.
I watched it again this weekend.
Yeah,
I think they have so much chemistry. I think they have so much chemistry.
They have no chemistry. To me, they have none. Zero.
I totally think they have so much chemistry. I don't care if they hated each other in real life or not. I feel that there is infinitely more chemistry between them than there is between Ren and Ariel.
You know who has
Ariel?
Who's like the wind? Ariel.
Ariel's
like the wind.
Ariel is the early manifestation of manic pixie dream girl. She is a disaster human who I mean
she was in Fame.
She's an interesting
show.
Remember she's an interesting character. She's totally complex and fascinating in some way, but like troubled, but she can't dance. My God, watching her dance is like you notice that they kept her out of the dance sequence at the end. She does not dance.
But she's like the wind.
She just stands there and screams like an idiot every time someone else joins the circle for the dance-off where they all show off their mad skills that they've apparently acquired in their like many years of dormant non-dance life.
That's right. And I also enjoyed...
I was going to skate right over the fact.
Yes, I am. Because I want to point out...
Singer is a terrible dancer.
No, she is. But I want to point out the fabulous Sarah Jessica Parker hair.
Sarah Jessica Parker,
we don't see anymore. That hair, that was probably one of the last, maybe there were a few more movies.
Did you ever watch Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
The movie?
Yes.
No.
It is another great 80s dance film.
Okay.
Sarah Jessica Parker stars in it with Helen Hunt.
Oh.
Her hair looks quite a bit like that, so she must have made it sort of
that was the hair I was
the
wanted. You know, when I was growing up, I'm like, why don't I have these beautiful corkscrew curls? And then all of a sudden there's that moment where you realize they're straightening their hair all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Well, you have cascading waves.
Oh, I never straightened it. Like,
no, you don't need
I've
to.
always
It's
been
like cascading waves.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed my hair, I will admit. But
okay, it's not quite, but her hair is really tight curls.
Yeah. And it's a bit frizzy because they used a brush when they should have used a comb. Anyway, So many things you learn about curly hair. We could do a whole episode. Curly hair in
But it's
pop
obviously
culture.
the very dry Oklahoma climate, not great for hair.
Not
with
great
that
for hair.
kind of a frizz.
But Sarah Jessica Parker, actually really fun dancer. And
Yeah.
she gets a chance to dance so much, and girls just want to have fun. It's a movie fully about just this girl who wants to compete in a dance competition. She gets partnered with this guy who's a great dancer but kind of a tool, and then obviously they fall in love.
But as much as we're talking about dancing, which is great. Like, I mean, we're in this particular time, we have a lot of weird dance things happening pop culture wise. Why Dancing with the Stars is still on is a mystery.
It has been on for a very long time.
I have to say, as much as I love reality crap TV, I've never been able to understand that one.
I watched the first 1 or 2 seasons of Dancing with the Stars when I lived in Victoria for like a year. I didn't know anybody, and
that is a very good explanation as to why you would watch that show.
No, but the friends that I made there, they watched it, and so we had viewing parties every week.
Yes.
We'd fast forward all the talking and then just watch the dancing. I love watching dancing. I love watching dancing. It really thrills me.
Yeah.
I like going
but isn't
to
there like
see dance.
What about the other one? There's another. What's the other dance show? That
Oh, so
everyone
you
likes?
think you can
so
dance?
So you think you can dance?
Yeah, I don't watch it but when I do watch it, I love it.
Yeah.
I've been moved to tears numerous times.
Yeah, see,
I hate all the backstory drama crap. I just want to watch
like
dancing.
Watching The Voice and
yeah, I just want to watch dancing.
The thing about dancing, and I've said this many times, and I'll say it again here, and I'm not ashamed. I don't get dance.
It doesn't make you feel something when you're watching it?
No. I feel like, and this might be controversial, but I feel like dance is the sad cousin to music.
Oh, that's probably a fighting statement for someone. I mean,
Music already has all that emotion, and then some dancer comes and listens to that emotion and tries to contort their body in a way to represent the music we're already listening to.
I don't think it's supposed to represent the music we're listening to. It's supposed to be inspired by the music we listen to.
But I don't feel that way.
I love watching dance. I think like I have this like secret wish that I had been a dancer or something. Maybe I could be even now. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe I'll start a dance troupe. I love. I've never taken classes at all, but I love the idea of sort of just. And maybe that's because when I listen to music, I feel like I listen to it very physically. Like I am inspired to move my body a lot when I'm listening to music.
Shake groove,
yeah, like.
shake groove, yeah.
Yeah.
I like dancing myself. I enjoy dancing.
But you don't it just does not get you as an art form.
No.
Fascinating.
No.
Totally fascinating.
Sometimes I'll be honest, I actually feel uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable?
I
Really?
feel uncomfortable.
Really? What? Okay, I don't, just tell me more.
They'll make these very serious faces. And they'll like maybe drape the back of their hand down a cheek or something.
Oh, it's the intimacy maybe.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
You're right. It's too, and then if it's not that, it's the fact that it is so complicated that I don't know what the point of it is. Like, you know how they'll do like a funny scene in a sitcom where a person's deciding maybe a dance and they go to an audition.
Yeah.
And they're like, a plie and a doula and a, and then no one can remember the steps.
Sure.
Like if you're a dancer, you could probably do that.
Yeah.
I was probably one of the few people not moved at all by Magic Mike.
Really? I love Magic Mike.
Nope.
No
stir. No stir.
No, well, I mean, it wasn't just about a loin stirring. I just enjoyed the dancing of it.
They are male professional stripper dancers, right?
Sure. Like honestly,
there were women throwing themselves out.
Oh no, I know. They could keep their clothes on though. I would just enjoy watching the dancing.
I like Channing Tatum when he's in funny movies.
Oh, this is the grossest thing I've ever said, but I wish Channing Tatum would just like sort of wear a bag over his head because I hate looking at his face.
What? Oh, I like him so much.
I enjoy him, and when he's funny, I enjoy him. But there's something about his face.
The whole Jump Street thing is my favorite.
There's something
He's
about
so
his
funny.
face that is just, I don't know if it's tiny eyes. I don't know what it is, but something about his face really, like, I don't often feel that way about people.
He's
ever.
a good dancer, though.
But yeah.
He's a very good dancer.
He's a great dancer, and I do enjoy him quite a bit. And
I found out something about I have a hard time with his last name. Joe Manganiello?
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Well, it could be, but I mean, we know the guy. He's married to Sofia Vergara.
That's right. Very handsome dancer. Was in True Blood.
Yes.
I don't, because he's more of a dancer-y type guy, I just didn't, pay too much attention to him. That was me. That was my mistake. Because I just found out this week that he's going to make a movie about the Smiths.
Oh.
Apparently, true story, 1987, the Smiths break up. Some guy broke into a radio station in Denver, Colorado, took the station hostage and the DJ, and made them only play Smiths music. This is a true story.
Wow.
Somebody wrote it up, and Joe and his brother are working on it with Morrissey.
Wow.
Because they're Smiths fans.
Wow.
So
wow.
I don't know where this took us in our debate.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to it and say that I'm going to make an accusation because you don't actually care for dance.
No. I'm not a good judge of these.
You're not a good judge of this, and Dirty Dancing wins by default.
Well, I feel like I understand the dancing more in Footloose because it follows a bit more of my, like he dances alone. I understand that.
You understand the dance alone and just like
I understand the feeling of the body wanting to move with the rage. I just don't understand the whole telling.
But what kind of dancing did you actually what kind of dancing did you actually want to do? Like what kind of dancing?
Me?
Well, like when you watch these movies, like what kind of dancing actually stood out to you as something that would be fun, or what was most memorable? Like, I mean, do you really think his alone sequence in the warehouse was the most memorable, or do you think the triumphant lift at the end of Dirty Dancing was the most memorable?
It's almost an unfair comparison, isn't it? Because one of the scenes tells us about love and trust, right?
Yeah, it's just one giant trust exercise, the Dirty Dancing.
It really is. It's like the falling backwards, right? And when we see her, as you mentioned, later on actually do the step not in the water, we recognize that not only does she trust him, she trusts herself.
She does. She's grown.
Right?
She's grown.
She trusts herself that she can do this. This is something I can do.
Yeah.
And we saw her hesitating so often. So that's obviously, that's fantastic, right? But I feel like that scene in Footloose is very symbolic of the teen experience of the frustration. No one will listen to me. What am I going to do with my life? Who am I? Why am I in this crap town where you can't dance? That's what I felt.
So which one stands up better, do you think?
Well, Footloose has already had a remake.
Sure. Yes.
Dirty
that's
Dancing
true.
is getting one, but it hasn't had one.
I don't think that settles this particular conversation.
Well, it gives you kind of a what resonated longer.
Oh, I think Dirty Dancing was just a way harder film to remake because it was way better. And therefore it was a little bit more untouchable, whereas Footloose, they were like, whatevs, we could remake that.
I think Dirty Dancing, both of them are weird.
Yeah. Right?
In the sense that they're telling stories with dance, but not really. I don't know. There's a lot of dancing going on, but what is this about? But I mean, Footloose, I think, is the more sort of. I like it's because we have so many great teen movies. I feel like it's a great teen movie, whereas I'm not sure where I would place Dirty Dancing in terms of what genre. Is dance a genre?
Well, yeah, we made it one anyway.
Because if we were really going to talk about the dance genre, I'm gonna have to say Flashdance beats them all.
Oh, look at you pulling punches at the last minute. Oh, look at that.
I
just
did the stripper scene there.
Yeah.
So that to me, Flashdance is a whole other one. And I don't just like dance movies with one word that start with an F.
Sure you don't.
I can go to others. I just can't think of them right now.
And movies where they dance alone.
And they dance alone.
So I think we figured out what nails it for you is, movies that start with F that involve dance, where they dance alone.
Yeah.
And have these cathartic, angry dances where they work through some stuff.
And if you can throw in some welding.
All the better.
All the better.
So what you wanted was for Johnny not to express his rage through punching anybody. You wanted him to have a dance alone moment.
Yes, I did.
Throughout the Catskill Mountains, parkouring off of rock cliffs, and maybe taking a little bit of a leap into a lake and then coming out on top of like some sort of like fallen tree.
Is that so much to ask?
That's not too much to ask. And yet, you know,
I
have
got
to
that
say,
in Hot Rod.
I get more joy out of rewatching Dirty Dancing. I still love Footloose, but I get more joy out of rewatching Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, I don't know. Joy. I don't find either of them my favorite films.
Well, sure, they're not my favorites, but
You know, and in terms of watching dancing movies, I don't watch a lot of dance movies as we've established.
All right. So
I'm not heading out to the ballet anytime soon.
Okay, which one could stand up against Flashdance?
Well, Footloose to me.
Oh, good Lord. Fine.
And the thing is about, like, I met someone once who was a Colombian man. I wish I had some music like Lisa's reflecting. A Colombian man.
Yes.
Who was explaining why dance was so important in Latin American countries. Mm-hmm. And it was because premarital sex was not something you did.
Okay.
And dance was your only way to be that close and intimate with someone.
Sure.
And he asked if I would like to learn some dance steps.
Well, that's forward now after telling that story.
Do you see? This was the game he played with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Clever.
And so here we are in our not very repressed North American culture, right?
Sure.
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Right? I can go out and have sex with whoever I want. That's okay now.
Well, sure.
He
You'll probably be
couldn't.
shamed for it at some point,
Maybe,
but that's fine.
but
Yeah.
I could do it.
Yeah.
He could not in his culture. So he goes to show me this move, and he puts his hand on the lower part of my back, and then puts his hips right into mine.
Oh.
And he's like saying, and then he says, "Follow me," and he just starts going around in circles. And I went, "That's sex here." I don't know what you're doing in Colombia, but you're like fooling everybody by saying we're not having sex. Because there's no way that this was going to be, I couldn't do anymore. I only could do that one step. I don't know how he was a very handsome man, I should point out too.
Well,
Very.
This settles it then. So I still stand by Dirty Dancing. You still stand by Footloose.
Yeah.
We have not reached. You should. You know what, listeners, just send us your arguments for which one works, because I don't know that we're going to reach a consensus here.
And obviously I've said things about dancing that I can't take back.
Never again. Never again.
So apologies to all of the professional dancers listening. To any of the fine people who make up the backup dancing on stage shows, from Beyonce to Gwen Stefani. I don't know why that's my range there. Or to the videos.
Of course. Yeah.
Because they all do a fine job. I just feel uncomfortable watching you.
Note, we do like to leave some recommendations for what things we think people should check out. I am going to say that you should check out this great documentary that I saw about burlesque dancers. So good. It's called The League of Exotique Dancers. It's traveling to different documentary film festivals right now. It's super cool, super feminist. They talk about why dance is so important, why it's so empowering, why it is its art form as well. I think you might appreciate it.
Oh, I'm not saying I wouldn't like it. A good documentary I will like about anything.
Yeah.
But let me say that if anyone listened to a couple of podcasts ago when we did Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl.
Yeah.
Lizzie Karp was our guest.
Yeah.
Do you remember what she left on? Asking us to watch the Barkley Marathons.
Oh, yeah. Did you watch it?
I did.
Oh, and you recommended
Lizzie,
it too?
you were so right. Talk about solitary activities. It is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I mean, I really have a hard time explaining properly what kind of person would be inspired to do these marathons. And it's by marathons, I mean you're supposed to run 5 marathons in 60 hours.
Oh my God.
Through the backwoods of Tennessee.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to finding out.
So, Lizzie was so right. I highly recommend it. You'll never see anything like it. And so, you could do that and then go dancing after.
For sure. I'm sure that's not in any way, They're not in any way sort of like physically prohibitive activities. No, totally fine. So you can hang out with us on social media. Twitter is at @poppoppopthis. You could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com and hang out with us on Facebook at Pop This Podcast.
Yes, and we record this podcast in Vancouver at the Vancouver Public Library's very supportive Inspiration Lab. And sitting on the other side of the glass is the equally very supportive Andrea Jin, who produces and helps everything sound good, even if I feel embarrassed now because of my dance admission. Maybe she'll cut that out.
She won't.
No, she won't.
Okay. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.